Hobart Hurricanes, just a very short one on this. They're extremely irrelevant to begin the season, to be honest with you, apart from Jakey Doran, who's everyone is popping in their sides as a looper in that wicket-keeping slot. And obviously, as we get closer to that round 8, where they have the double game, we will discuss them a little bit more. But the big focus here is just seeing what pops up for them in round 1. And I think a lot of people are looking at Mitch Owen. And does he get an opening or 3 slot in this team? I can't see much of a world where Matt Wade doesn't bat in the top 3 in this team. He's usually very, very important for him, and they need some starch in their batting lineup. You've got Caleb Jewell in there at 70k, who is likely to be opening, and he's very, very cheap. But what happens with Caleb once Shea Hope does arrive and come in after a couple of games? So you look at this batting order, and Shea is an opener, and that's probably the worry for Caleb, unless Matt Wade does drop down from that point. He opens early and then does drop down. There's a few question marks that need to be answered, and I think that with the Hurricanes, it makes it very, very easy that we just don't have to attack any of their players at all from the beginning, and we can learn what's happening with their side and go from there. So the only real relevance there, I think, is that of Mitch Owen, is if he does get to bat early on and he does get some overs as well in this side. They do have a few players that can bowl, obviously with Tim David, Chowdhury in their middle order who bowl spin. And then you've got Jordan, Ellis, Dooley, and Meredith in this 11. So there's 6 bowlers already. So Mitch Owen would be, the 6th likely bowler before Tim David, and David might get an over there. But how many overs is he actually going to get? And if he's batting at 7 and bowling 1 or 2, it's probably not the greatest position anyway. So he's the guy that people do have on their lips. Mac Wright had a pretty solid season last year. McDermott did his thing along with Wade. So these are all going to be guys that we want to look to come round 8 for their double, when they're the only team on the double as well. We have Riley Meredith, who's a little bit undervalued based on his scores in previous seasons, but he does have that late double game. So yeah, by the time that does come to that, is he going to be a fair bit more expensive? And the likely answer is yes. And similar to that with Dooley, underperformed last year, and likely to go better. Both those guys, along with Ellis, didn't perform as well last year as previous, and that probably showed with the Hobart performances. Unfortunately, some of their batting wasn't awesome. Some of them did okay. No one did really well. When your highest player that played last year was basically Chowdhury and Wade, shows that Chowdhury was one of the shining lights as a young up-and-comer, and then Chris Jordan had a really, really good season as well, finishing at 147.7 average for a nice average there across the season. And then some of the extras, they've got Pete Hatzaglu, who's next up for the spinners, and then Billy Stanlake for the bowlers as well. And then you got Charlie Wakeham, Ian Carlisle as a young quick, and then Jake Doran will be the backup wicketkeeper as well. But they, a long way back, let's just say, because they've got a few in there. Matt Wade, McDermott, obviously in there that'll both keep. Shea Hope as well. So yeah, he's well down the pecking order, and we'll be there for some good experience there for sure, and a lovely looper on our benches. But when it does come down to it, the best roles could be if Owen does bat up top in the order. So that's what people are looking at clearly. But then come their double game week, it is Chris Jordan. He has a lovely role there. It's sitting between 7 and 8 in that order, depending on who they decide to play. If they play an extra bowler, another bat like a Mitch Owen, and he'll bowl those really important overs there. So Jordan's the next guy on the list. And then in terms of bowlers, I think Meredith is the guy you might want to target. He definitely has some upside about him. And then guys like Ellis and Dooley could be thought of as well, and dependent on how many overs Nikhil Chowdhury's bowling, it could be a fun one to look at as well. And then for the batters, you got Wade and McDermott that could pop off, and then Tim David, if he's bowling the odd over, batting at 5 and actually scores runs in. Him and Stoinis a while, they do fairly well for Australia in T20s, but they struggle mightily for their clubs. So hopefully they can turn that around and do a bit better. But that's the Hobart Hurricanes. Not super relevant to start. Watch them, see how they play, and see who you might want to target come round 8, which is the second to last round of the season. That's the Hobart Hurricanes. We'll move on to the next few videos going through some of the really important players and all the guys that I would want in my side if I had an unlimited salary cap.